Hey Tracie's Place fam, welcome back. I am happy to be back with you. I am here with a salad. That's going to be my meal for the day. And as you see in the title, the story time it's a true story time, and it's about losing a parent, about losing my dad. So anyway, let me bless my food first. God is great and God is good. Lord, I thank you for this food. Bless this food and drink. Make it nourishing, not harmful. In Jesus' name I pray. Bless all those who are with me, all those who are suffering with the loss of a parent, and just maybe loss at all. Bless them, Lord, and meet them where they are. Heal their hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. I pray that you are comforted too. All right, guys, so I have a salad with me. I hope you all will go get something good to eat while you are watching and listening to this story time. But I have a salad here, and this is it's a lot of ingredients, so I'll try to list them. I usually list what's in my salad. It's usually the same thing every time, but I will, for the sake of time, either I'll try to just type it down below. I'll try to just type it down below. How about that? It's about 12 to 15 things in here. And it's big. My husband is working from home today. And he was in the kitchen making his lunch while I was making this for my mukbang. And he was like, that's a big salad. Because I make them too big all the time and then I could barely eat them. So anyway, they just be looking so good and it be so good. So anyway, all right, well today, guys, is September the 23rd. It's Monday, September the 23rd. And 15 years ago today, my father, Dave, passed away unexpectedly 15 years ago today. So I just wanted to do this today as a tribute to him, and also just to, I know some people out there, are suffering with the loss of a parent, and I've been there. So just wanted to pray that the Lord gives you comfort today as well, whether it was recent or a long time ago, because they say time heals all wounds, and sometimes, time, it helps, kind of look at things different or feel different, but the loss is still there. The loss is still there. So anyway, I'll tell you just a little bit about him. My father was 69 when he passed away. And I'm going to be eating while I do this. It's kind of hard about the subject, but he loves salads too. So that's one reason why I picked the salad. He loves salad. He's very creative with his salads. And his favorite dressing, I remember, was 1,000 Island. And I think he would mix. That's where I get my mixology from with my food. My father would mix 1,000 Island and French, I believe it was. Yeah, no, I mix this Panera Fuji apple dressing, and I mix French together. So, anywho, he was 69 when he passed away. He had been diagnosed with kidney failure earlier in the year. So he died in September, and I would say I'm thinking it was early that year, or either it was right before Christmas. But I'm thinking it was like February of 2004. Somewhere in there, give or take 2 months or so. And so anyway, he had been living with the kidney failure for a good 7 to 9 months. But he seemed to be doing fine, as well as could be expected, although he did not like living like that because he, was on dialysis. And before dialysis, he had been, oh goodness, just full of life. Oh goodness, just doing everything and eating everything, and he was just full of life. Full of life. If my mom was the heart of the home, he was the laughter and fun and joy of the home. So, my mom's on the quiet side, and he was more he wasn't, I won't say overly talkative, but he was talkative. It was just, he didn't mind giving his opinions and talking and speaking about what he believed in, and, right and wrong and this or that, and that's but where I got it from, most likely. Of course, with my mom, too, even though she was quiet, she stood up for what she believed. So, he was on home dialysis. They chose home dialysis so he wouldn't have to go to the dialysis all the time. And he didn't care for it, of course. We knew that. We could tell. And the kidney failure slowed him down quite a bit, although he was still doing things. And if I'm not mistaken, he was still, because he had started, after his retirement, he had, when my mother owned the shop, she owned the boutique. My mother made hats, the fancy hats that you see women wearing in churches, with the handkerchiefs and the lace around them, earrings, suits like with the bishop wives and stuff be having on, those suits that they be wearing and stuff like that. She sold those. She had some shoes. So she had a boutique. She had a boutique. So after his retirement, he went up there to kind of be her helper, so to speak, but he was still doing other things. And we always joked because we would always say that Mama had one employee, and that was Daddy. But he's an awesome, great guy in his own right. My father had a 7th grade education and raised a family, got married, raised a family, and worked a job. And sometimes, a lot of times more, he did more things than just one job. He would have his main job, which he was a machine operator at a pharmaceutical company. And he did that until he retired. And he did other odd jobs on the side just to make ends meet. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. So that's kind of where I get that from. I like staying at home, was probably because my mama was always there. Everything we needed her for, she was there. And my father made sure that, financially everything was taken care of. So she never worked. I think, wait a minute, I think maybe when they first got married, she had just a little job in the lunchroom or something like that at one of my siblings' school after, a little while. But I think it only lasted a couple years, and it was just a little while, like lunchtime, something like that. But she never worked. Other than that little thing, she never worked. So anyway, and that's one reason why I don't put a lot into, I put a lot into education. I want kids to be educated and put a high price on it, but as far as making what a person is, college and all that stuff is great. I have a daughter in college. I have one son that, went to college, like a technical college like I did. I went to a technical college too. And he went for graphic design. He ended up not doing that. He's a correctionals officer, and he's loving what he's doing. So not, big education doesn't make the person. You can get along, without it. And sometimes we go to these big universities and different things, and nowadays, kids hardly can get a job when they come out. So it's best to have a trade and, have something to do that you can do with your hands as well. As well as a little technical job, whatever, on the computer, online things, whatever. But it's good to have a trade to do something else. Because you're not always going to get a fancy job with, a college education. Not nowadays. Anyway. Fast forward to September 23rd. I got a phone call from my sister, and she asked where my husband was. And I'm thinking this had to be about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My oldest sister. And so he's not here. I said he's on the field, actually, with my husband. He does, he was, what was he umpiring or something like that? So he's on the field. right now. And they had tried to call him, but couldn't get him on his cell phone because he was on the field. So, they ended up calling me, and she was like, oh, she called me the first time. She was like, you know, where's Chris? And I was like, well, he's umpiring or whatever. And tried to call him, and they couldn't reach him. And so she called back. And that second time, she said something about Chris, or does somebody know where he is or how to get in touch with him? Something like that. And it was not that blatant to where another person probably would have figured out what was wrong, but my mind started working. And I was like, 'cause she didn't say what she wanted with Chris, my husband. And my mind went to working. And that second phone call, I said, what's wrong? I said, what happened? Who? And I was like, no, everything's fine, everything. I said, no, something is wrong. I said, I don't know if I said Daddy specifically. I'm thinking that I did, because I kind of didn't think anything was wrong with my mother. But, you know, my father had been getting along, you know, fine. We didn't think he was about to pass or anything like that. He was still full of life, still driving, going to church, everything, you know. Like I said, I believe he still had a couple of lawns he was cutting, because he did odd jobs like that. Just did a lot of everything. And so I was like, is something wrong with Daddy? What? And she said, and because I pressured her so much, she was like, yeah, well, he, you know, and she said it in the most mild way she could have, because I was pregnant at the time. I was 7 months pregnant with Isaiah. And they were trying to find Chris so they could tell me while he was with me in case something happened. And I did get overcome. And so she said, you know, Daddy passed away. And I guess right after I heard that passed away, oh Lord, just lost it. And my kids was right there by this time, because I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And, no, tell me, what's wrong? Jordan and Jalen were right there. Jordan was 14. Jalen was 6. Isaiah in the womb, 7 months, pregnant with him. So I break down. They're standing right there looking at me, and I, of course, couldn't help it. And I was trying, you know, it was hard to process. Hard to process. You know how some people, you feel like this about your loved ones anyway, but you know there's some people that you just don't think of dying. And he's just one of those people. And my kids were looking at me, and I'm just, I had never hyperventilated before, but I think I hyperventilated. And because I was going, and I started heaving, and I couldn't hardly breathe, and my mother got on the phone. And this is just an extraordinary thing. I thought it was so extraordinary about her. My mother's, for the most part, a calm-natured person, too. Like my sister that actually called me, she's a calm-natured person, too. Out of me and my sister get hysterical when things happen sometimes, but she's, for the most part, she's calm and collected. And my mother is like that too. I think she gets that from the way my mother was. But my mother gets on the phone, and because she probably heard my sister saying, calm down, calm down. And my mother gets on the phone. She says, Tracy, she said, you have to calm down. She was like, breathe, calm down. And I know that she was about maybe she had already it already had hit her. I don't know how long, or I think it had been like 45 minutes or so by the time they called me, because they had to call the paramedics anyway, even though they knew he was dead and stuff. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead, y'all. I'm jumping ahead. Okay. So I'll go on from there, then I'll go back. So my mother calms me down, even though she's grieving And she just lost her spouse about not an hour before. I just learned of it about an hour before. That was a miraculous thing that she's able to calm her own child down. Grown as I was, because I was 34, she was able to get on the phone and calm me down. And I said, okay, well, I'm on my way. And my mother said, don't drive. Do not drive. She said, get somebody to bring you. So I called a very dear friend who, her name is Michelle. And I told her what happened. I said, can you please take me to my mother's? And she had just not long had a baby. They had, I think it was like a couple months old, but her husband was there. So he watched the baby, and she took me and my two children to my mother's house, where my father still was. Because I said, don't take him away. I said, don't let them take him away before I get there. So they, the paramedics, didn't take him away to the hospital or to the morgue. So she took me there. Anyway, backtracking a little bit. No, I'll keep going. So I get there, and there are, a lot of people there. Friends, close friends that they had called, I guess probably during the time they had called me, and they were waiting for me to come. They had called close friends of my mom and dad's, and they were there. And I just remember, I don't know if I greeted anybody or what, but I remember just going and beeline into the room where he was, and he was there. Just, there was a little tear coming down from his eye, and just a water trail there. And I held his hand, and just cried. I just kind of, and that was something. That was something. So, but anyway, I remember the paramedics finally did come. Not the paramedics, but the undertaker finally came, and they got him situated. They closed the door while they were doing that. Got him situated and got him on the gurney, and brought him out, and we were able to kiss him and stuff like that, and pat him, rub him and stuff. And I remember my mother crying and saying, I'll never forget you. I'll never forget you, Dave. And so I remember going to the front porch, following behind them, and as they were putting him into the, I forget what the wagon or whatever. And I remember standing on the porch, down on the walkway, watching them take him away. So now going back earlier, my mother had said, it was a day like any other day. Sometimes he would go up to the shop for her and open it up for her before, they had a certain open time. Sometimes he'd go open up if she was doing something. And I think she asked him, was he going or something? And he said, well, no, I'm just going to water the garden. He said, I'm going to lay back here. And I don't know if he said he's going to take a nap, but she said he laid back. He's like, I'm just going to lay here for a second. And I'll be on up there later. So she went, she opened the shop. I forget what she was calling back home for, but she called back home, I think like a few hours later. She usually opened between 10 and 12. And because it was Thursday, I'm thinking she might have opened at 10 o'clock, because later on in the week, towards the weekend, she would open up earlier. So she opened up about 10:30 or something like that, because sometimes she'd be running late. But anyway, She said she called back. No answer. And she said she didn't think anything of it too much the first time. She said, oh, maybe he just, because they owned an apartment building, and then they had a garden at their house and a garden at the apartment building. And so she said, oh, maybe he went over to the garden at the apartment and was watering the garden. So, yeah, she went there. I mean, she just figured that's where he went. Called back again a few hours later, no answer. Called again, no answer. She said she got a strange feeling, and so she came home because they didn't live far from her business, where her place of business was. She got home, and my father's his pill box was still on the table. You know, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you put your pills and eat for each day. The pills had not been taken. And she said her stomach just sunk. And she walked around she walked through the kitchen, around, through the living room, dining room, whatever, dining room, to the hallway, entering into the room. She could see him laying back on the bed, and she said she lost it. She lost it. She said she ran around the house screaming, you know, for a little bit, and, you know, in a panic, and I don't know if she called, I forget whether she called us first or the paramedics first, because she said by the touch, you know, he was cold and stuff, so she got that immediate, like, he's gone. So she said that's when she just, was running around, screaming, and she said, so then she finally, not settled herself, of course, but, you know, she called us, y'all. She couldn't get no answer from nobody on this day. And one of the bad things, Lord have mercy, Jesus, she called me. I was on the phone with somebody, and I said, because I saw who it was, I said, well, I'll call her back in a few minutes. You know, I felt bad after. So now, you know, when I, of course, see her calls, I always answer them. But I'm just thinking, you know, I'm not thinking along those lines. She, you know, called me. I remember I was talking on the phone to a friend or something, and I don't know if I was wrapping up the call or whatever. I'm just thinking, you know, I'll call her right back. Lord have mercy, my father had passed. So you all, anyway, she didn't get any of us. So I'm thinking she called the paramedics next, 911 next. Probably some friends or somebody close by, a neighbor or something. She finally got my niece or my sister. And, you know. So, and then they had to tell my siblings that are out of town. I have a brother and sister that live out of town. And so they flew in. This was Thursday when he passed away. And they flew in on Saturday. They both and their families flew in on Saturday. My brother and his wife at the time, and my sister, her children, and her husband flew in on Saturday. And then we went to view the body to the funeral home and everything. We viewed the body that same day, not long after they got into town. And, you know, our family is somewhat of a comical family. We handled it well by a lot of laughter and a lot of memories. And he always said, and this was after he had gotten sick and stuff, and he said, and don't be sneezing, snotting, and blowing boogers and snotting over my casket either. This would have been some months earlier. You know, we just talking about stuff in our family. You talk about things, and we weren't talking about arrangements that particular time. But we didn't think he was going nowhere, nothing like that. But we just, you know, how things just come up. And he was like, when it's my time, he said, I don't want y'all sneezing and snotting over my casket and going on. He loved to laugh. And I don't know how much of a taste of it y'all get on camera, but I laugh. I love to laugh. I love to laugh. I love a good joke. I just love laughter. And got that from him. So his funeral was very lively as far as I won't say it was comical, but it wasn't all sad and sappy. And I remember because we had joked and laughed so much, because that would be what he would typically be doing. And we were joking and laughing and just remembering stuff, and then family was coming in from out of town and everything. And we'd be remembering stories, and you know, that was Uncle Dave. And he was just such a wonderful person. Everybody would tell us, oh, I wish I had a father like yours. And everybody, you know, loved Uncle Dave. When Uncle Dave was Uncle Dave. And you know, wonderful, amazing person. But anyway, you know, the funeral happened and everything, and so we were at the gravesite, and we, you know, buried him and everything. And, you know, that was hard, standing there. But then, you know, after walking away, we were kind of laughing and joking and stuff like that with people who understood who he was, you know. And then we get into the family car, me, my mother, my brother, and my two sisters. And we laughed. Me and my siblings just laughing like we crazy. Just laughing and giggling and going on, just cracking up about stuff. And we'd be saying, oh, Daddy would be saying this now about now. And he would be, you know, thinking this and saying this and that. And I looked over and I saw my mother. And she had this faraway look in her eyes. And that's why I had to remember, we got to pull it together, because my mother is not the jokey joke type person either. My father was laugh at everything. You know, my mother is more serious. And anyway, so she was not laughing. We were pulling away from the cemetery, and I'm sure she was probably thinking, my partner from and look, y'all, they would have been married 50 years in 2 more months. They got married in December. So in 2 more months, they would have been married 50 years. And so they missed that 50-year anniversary. And so I was like, I'm looking, I noticed, you know, we laughing and going on. I look over at her, and she wasn't crying, but she just had that. My mother's not a crier either. My father cried at the drop of a pen and laugh, and he was very expressional. But my mother is more on the quieter side, and she just had this faraway look. And I said, Mama, you all right? I knew she wasn't all right, but you know, I was just, and she was like, yeah, you know, I'm all right. So of course it was very hard. The family dinners afterward and different things like that, because you can never feel a person's shoes. You know, we were all there, but once one person is gone, it changes the dynamic. So family dinners were different. We still have fun. We still, you know, love each other. We get together. As y'all see, I see a lot of our family get-togethers. But if you all could have seen my father, Lord have mercy. So anyway, that changed the dynamic. I get a lot of remembrances of him in my children and my husband too. My husband is he's not a lot like my father. Their personalities are not. But I get a bit of my father in my husband in that my husband can fix anything. I just think my husband can do anything. I just think he's a great guy. And he's a doer. He's a worker bee, like my father was. Now the difference is, my father, and my husband always says this. My father would rig up stuff. He'd fix it. It wasn't fixed right all the time, but he would fix it. And there is some stuff my father fixed still at my mom's house till this day, and she won't let nobody mess with it. And it's working fine, but it ain't fixed quite right. But my husband, he'll measure, and he'll stand back and he look, and he does all this technical stuff. He look up stuff and stuff, which is fine. But I feel he can do anything, and he takes care of me, just like my father did with my mom. And he's a good husband. So I got that in my dad, in that way, in my husband. Through my sons, I got that in that my youngest son, Isaiah, out of all the grandchildren and children, he is the only one that's left-handed like my father, and he looks like my father. Never met him. 2 months shy of being born when my father passed. And I remember telling my father when I got pregnant with my son, with my last son, I was like, Daddy, we having a baby. And he said, folks still having babies? He said, I thought folks would stop having, just being funny. And I did show him the sonogram picture of Isaiah, though. So he saw him, but, he wasn't born. He didn't physically, he did see a picture of him in my belly. And so that was comforting. And so, like I said, he's the only left-handed. My father was left-handed. So my son is the only left-handed grandchild, and not even any of his children are left-handed. And he looks like my father. He's dark-skinned. Isaiah's dark-skinned. My father was not dark-skinned. He was kind of medium to light, like medium, somewhat, but not dark at all. And but Isaiah looks like him. Oh my gosh, Isaiah looks like my father. And what else? Oh, you never know what, because I was grabbing his hand and stuff like that when he had passed away, when I went to my mom's house and stuff. And I can't say, of course, don't think that that's it necessarily, and I'm not going to go all into that, but it's just funny how Isaiah's the only left-handed one, and he looks just like my father. Just looks just like my father. And my oldest son favors my father's son and has an excellent work ethic like my father did also. And he's learning to fix some stuff too, do some stuff. He's getting us somewhat handy. He can fix up that motorcycle though. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you all, anyone that may have lost a loved one close to them, that just continue to think about the good memories. Prayerfully, you had a close relationship. I know it can be more difficult if your relationship was strained when your loved one died, or in that manner, and things of that nature. But even in that standpoint, you have to forgive yourself, because you can't turn back the clock, and you can, in your spirit, within yourself, tell that person you're sorry, and say I love you and all that, and you have to be at peace with it yourself. But just in general, you all just love the people close to you while you can. But yeah, losing a parent is hard. I will say, and this is just for myself, when I lost my father, I felt like an orphan. I felt like an orphan, even though my mother was still here, and it probably would have been the same if she had passed and he was left. There's this big void of this person that has been there all your life, who has taught you everything, helped make the person that you are, was just big in your life. And for a lot of times, for a girl, for a daughter, her father is everything. And he was, he was everything. My father, I just felt there was nothing he couldn't do. And I've told you all before, he was my eating partner. He loved to eat, and I love to eat. When we go out sometimes even after I got married and me and my husband go somewhere or whatever, and I call him, I'm like, Daddy, we went to such and such and so and so, and it was good. And he be like, good, baby, what you eat? And so we were close. We were close. We were close. My father also, he was a Christian man, you know, good guy, and you know, but oh Lord, he had a mouth sometimes. You know, he had a few choice words he could say pretty well. Sometimes, you know, I always tell people, you know, that a lot of times it's like a child is their mother and their father mixed, plus their own characteristic, that person's own characteristic. So I'm myself, but of course I've gotten some things from my father, gotten some things from my mother, and then just things that are me, Tracie, that make up Tracie. And so a lot of people say that, you know, you're very a very classy person, carry yourself well, you speak well, and things like that. And you know, and a lot of that comes from my mother. But then and then people always say, "Ooh, you laugh and you smile all the time too," and always have a pleasant look on your face. And then that I get from my father. My mother always has a pleasant look. She's not sour. I'm not saying that. But my father laughed. I mean, you could hear him laughing before he got there. And people, me and my sister that lives out of town, people can hear us, our laughter, before we get to a place. I've heard that a lot of times. They say, "Oh, girl, we heard you out there." But they hear me laughing before I actually get into the room. And my exuberance and my joy, I guess, laughter and stuff like that, and just finding laughter in everything I get from him. And then, like I said, he also could say some choice words. So I have a lot of things kind of meshed together, plus me, and a lot of people wouldn't ever think that I had. I'm just gonna tell the truth and shame the devil, but I'm not a cusser. All y'all know I don't like cussing and stuff. So, and a lot of that is because, you know, my father didn't cuss all the time, but like I said, when he got upset, he could go. And every now and then, just playing around and stuff like that, he could say some stuff, and it wasn't not them horrible words, but there was some words, you know. And I will, now that I know that's not what I want to do, just on a natural. I'm not a cusser, you know, or anything like that. But sometimes, oh Lord, when we first got married, my husband, boy, I just went left. And it was the first time he'd seen me, and he was like, "Oh my Lord." Like I said, it don't happen hardly any. I'll probably count on, I don't do that anymore. But when I would get upset, I always said Dave came out. But I don't do that anymore. So, y'all, it's a choice. It is a choice. People say, I can't help it. It's just me. And I'm here to witness. It is a choice. Because when I would get mad, oh my goodness, it would fly. And, but now, sometimes I find myself, I have to keep it out of my mind. I have to say, Lord, don't let me think that, because I could go in my mind. And the person get on my nerve too bad, just like, and it'd be, I'm like, oh, Jesus, 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 Jesus. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And Lord Jesus. Anyway, I won't say no more about that. But anyway, I just want to encourage you all to remember your loved ones fondly, and just think about the good times, and try to laugh sometimes on purpose. I know it, you know, you cry. I think the last time I cried about his death, and it's been a while, and I can honestly say there was, I guess, in the first 10 years, I don't think there was a day I didn't think about him. You know, good 8 to 10 years. It was never a day I don't think I didn't think about him, or how he died early, I thought, and things like that. But as the years of the latter years have gone by, you know, I still think about him, of course, but it's not every day. He doesn't come across my mind every day like he used to. And you know, the sad feeling. Every blue moon, I get, you know, that sadness, but I haven't had a good cry, you know, about him passing. It's been, I'd say, a good 7 years, maybe 5. You're 5, because I remember one time it was just out of the blue, and I just cried like a baby. I think I was in the shower, and I don't know what had happened. And sometimes, you know, thoughts just come randomly, and I just boo-hooed. But I think more fond thoughts I always have, but now it's more, you know, I just pray to see him again. You know, we believe, you know, he was a Christian, and we just pray and believe that we'll see him again. So I want to encourage you all to prayerfully your loved ones were, and you know, prayerfully you'll see them again as well. All right, so I've only gotten a little bit over halfway through this salad. I know this was a long video, so I apologize, but I just wanted to do something special in remembrance of my dad, being this the 15th year anniversary of his passing. So I hope you all enjoyed that true story time, and just hope it encouraged you in some kind of way to, you know, live to the fullest with your family while you have them, and have good memories if they're gone. All right? So I love you all. I have some water here. I never drunk any. So I love you all. Be blessed, abundantly blessed. And I will see you next time right back here on Tracie's Place. Bye.